keeping fans updated as time goes along. So I think that's pretty cool. I know that was kind of a big deal for them because now they're not going to be able to make the anniversary date for the Mega Drive in Japan. But I think it's really cool that they were listening to fans and they want to push out a good quality product instead of just cashing in. So kudos to Sega for listening to their fans. And then moving on, Rockstar announced that Red Dead Redemption 2, Red Dead 2, is going to be coming out next month. And a month after that, they're going to be releasing the Red Dead Online service. So similar to how they did with Grand Theft Auto, they did like a month after it came out, they did Grand Theft Auto Online. And it was released with a slew of glitches and bugs and issues and the whole 9 yards. So Rockstar, being the smart people that they are learning from that mistake. And so whenever the Red Dead Online releases, they're calling it a beta. So it's not going to be a fully finished product. It's essentially, they're going to be testing it in a beta form on a massive scale. So that way, if people are having issues, they report them. And people can't really complain all that much because it's, a beta. It's kind of similar to what Epic did with Fortnite. It's kind of similar to what they did with PUBG. It was in beta and it wasn't, the 1.0 version yet. So Rockstar is being smart about it and they are going to be calling it a beta. People are going to be everyone's going to be testing it. And I don't know, I'm like really stoked because I wasn't a huge fan of Grand Theft Auto Online. I played it a little while, didn't get that in depth into it, but I just wasn't a fan of just randos, obliterating people. And so I just wasn't having fun with it, but I really feel like the Red Dead Online is going to be super fun. I think it's going to be a blast. So I'm really looking forward to that. THQ Nordic announced that they have acquired Alone in the Dark and the Act of War IPs. So, and if you remember, this news comes after the announcement that they acquired Time Splitters and Kingdoms of Amular. And I don't know what THQ Nordic is up to because I haven't really seen much from THQ recently. They haven't really been doing much, but they just keep buying up all these properties. And so I don't know if this is possibly a move, like they think that they might be possibly like selling the company. And so that way they want to try to increase the value of this company and, before they sell off, or maybe they're trying to revamp themselves as a company and they want all these different IPs so they can try to revamp their image as a company. But I thought that was interesting that they've been acquiring all these IPs here within just like the last couple of weeks. So it'd be interesting to see what comes of this because I think it would be really cool if they continued all these IPs, themselves. And closing up the video game portion of this episode, it's kind of some sad, somber news, but Capcom Vancouver announced that they are closing its doors after over a decade. And all of their in-progress properties have been canceled. And I think the saddest part of this whole thing is 158 employees have been laid off in the wake of the closing. I mean, that's terrible. And especially in a game industry where, or just should I say like an industry where so much of this stuff is being outsourced to, foreign countries, which I know Capcom is from Japan. And so them being in Vancouver is, being outsourced. But, it's just kind of sad. I mean, 158 people, that's a substantial amount of people that are going to be unemployed in the gaming industry. And I just wish them nothing but the best. Hopefully they can all land back on their feet and they have something lined up. I do know a Dead Rising sequel was in the works, but as of now, it has also been canceled, which is kind of a bummer because the Dead Rising games were, even though they were the zombie games and all that, they were different because they were super fun. They were kind of tongue-in-cheek. I felt like they had like a nice touch to them that made them really stand out amongst the crowd of zombie games. But sad news, and I wish all those employees nothing but the best. Okay, and the last section of this episode of the podcast, we're talking about some comic book stuff, news about movies, TV shows. So Disney announced that they will be producing live-action TV shows for their streaming service that will follow the characters of Loki and Scarlet Witch. Now, these will, like I said, these will be live-action, and the actors that play their characters will be reprising their roles from the MCU. So Tom Hiddleston, Ashley Olsen, Kate Olsen, an Olsen actress. But yeah, they'll be playing their characters on the live-action TV shows, which I think is super cool. I know people have been foaming at the mouth for more stuff about Loki, especially in the wake of the events of Infinity War. And Marvel also announced, this isn't really a movie or TV show, well, kind of, but based off the popularity of the character Killmonger from the Black Panther movie, they announced that they will be doing a comic series showcasing the character. So he will get his own comic run, which I think is pretty cool, and it's not very often you see characters based off of popularity in the movie get comic runs for them. Also, Season 3 of Daredevil for Netflix has been announced, and it'll premiere on October 19th, which is really soon. That's just a couple weeks away. But it reportedly will adapt parts of Frank Miller's Born Again arc of the Daredevil comic, which I don't know if you are familiar with that or not. If you're not, I highly recommend reading it. It's a really good comic run. And that's what really made me actually enjoy some of the Daredevil comics. Frank Miller's run on Daredevil was phenomenal. In other news, HBO's Watchmen has announced that Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross will do the score. And these two have worked together before, and they've composed the scores for the movies of The Social Network, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Gone Girl, and Patriots Day. And I think it's pretty cool because Nine Inch Nails' song, Just Like You Imagined, was used in the marketing for the 2009 Watchmen movie. So I think it's pretty cool that they're bringing Trent Reznor in to do the score for the HBO TV show. And the HBO's Watchmen is set to debut in 2019. So I'll definitely be pretty stoked for that, because once Game of Thrones is over, I don't know what else I would use HBO Go for. So that'd be pretty cool to have something else to watch, and it's Watchmen, so that'll be pretty badass. And in other news, Red Sonja, they announced that there's going to be another adaptation of that, and Bryan Singer is in talks to direct the film based on the Red Sonja comics. And if you remember last year, Singer was fired from his Freddie Mercury biopic due to allegations of misconduct while on the set, and amidst legal action due to alleged sexual assaults. Now, I just think it's kind of ridiculous, because there's an insider for The Hollywood Reporter that stated that the studio for this film is using this film as an attempt to rehabilitate Bryan Singer. And I just kind of think it's absurd that this film studio would go to the lengths of, we're going to try to rehabilitate him and try to, downplay these allegations and, like, the misconduct that he had on the set of that Freddie Mercury biopic. And I don't know. And I understand, other people's, mindset as well. There's no proof, yada, 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 that whole Me Too movement stuff. And I don't know. I just feel like it's kind of ridiculous that this guy who's, been a complete piece of garbage, and there's actually been multiple people, multiple accounts corroborating this information of all the stuff that he's done, and they're like, well, you know what, we're going to give him another chance to try to rehabilitate him. But then you get people like James Gunn, who 10 years ago said something, and now he's, being crucified over stuff he said 10 years ago. So I don't know. I think it's kind of ridiculous, and I don't really feel like Bryan Singer is that good of a director in the first place. So there's that too. But lastly, big news as well. Captain Marvel, the trailer got released, and holy cow, this movie looks really damn good. And I know a lot of people were kind of worried about it, because they're either afraid it's going to be like this social justice warrior movement kind of movie, but I am super stoked for this movie. I think it looks fantastic, and it's like a total 90s movie. Like, it looks so cool. I'm really stoked for it. So anyway, this brings me to the end of the episode. I want to thank all of you guys for liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting, sharing, all that stuff. I appreciate it so much. That's a great way to help support me and help grow the podcast. I appreciate every single one of you for the comments and all that stuff. It's amazing. I appreciate you guys. So yeah, this is the end of the episode. I don't really have anything else to talk about. So guys, this is Tyler from the Scruffy Looking Nerd Hooders podcast signing off, and may the Force be with you.